The Mindful Life Practice.
All right, so we're gonna come first into like a little bit of a seated meditation. You can be sitting cross-legged, you can be on your knees, or if your hips are particularly tight, I always encourage my dad to sit on a chair because for him, crisscross is just not accessible. So if that's you, if you're not comfortable on the ground, don't feel like you have to be on the ground. It really doesn't matter. And just let your sits bones be grounded into whatever is supporting you. Your spine lengthening straight up. Your shoulders softening away from the earlobes. Your head balancing on both shoulders. And then just take a big breath in. And then take an exhale out. So our practice today is going to be about 40 minutes of yoga, short meditation at the end. Give us a chance to chat afterwards. One of the key aspects of yoga is that we move with our breath, and we're learning how to breathe deeply and evenly. And this connection to the breath is going to help us train our mind to be in the present moment. So it's normal that our brain is almost like a sky, right? And the thoughts are almost like clouds. They're like the weather passing by. So there will be kind of thoughts coming into your head. And the intention here, it's not to fight with your head. It's not to stop those thoughts because they're naturally going to occur. But when you realize your mind is wandering away, try to come back to the breath and use that to bring you back into the present moment. So let's focus on where we're breathing into the body right now. So as you breathe in, see if you can draw your breath down towards the pelvis. And then exhale to release. And now the next time you're going to breathe into the belly. And then exhale to release. This time, send your breath into your rib cage. And exhale to release. Let's send the breath up into the chest. Exhale to release. And send your breath up into the collarbone. And exhale to release. And now for your next breath in, try to link it all together. So you're breathing into the whole torso. And then exhaling out from the whole torso. And your navel is drawing in as you exhale. So inhale, full torso. And then exhale to release. Before we start every yoga practice, we'll usually have a little bit of an intention. And today, since it's a beginner's practice, let's just have the intention of feeling connected. And you can interpret that in whatever way you like. So it can be a connection to your breath. It can be a connection to your body. It could be a connection to the present moment. Or it could even be a connection to each other. Let's start to move on our next breath. So as you inhale, you're going to circle your palms up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to land your fingertips and then take a breath in and then exhale all the way over to the right. Take an inhale, lift all the way back up through center. And then exhale over to the left. So this is a lateral side bend. Take your breath in, come all the way back through center. And then let's twist the opposite way. So sorry, coming into a twist, your left palm is going to be on your right thigh and your gaze is going to be over your right shoulder. So getting into a spinal stretch. And then come all the way back through center, arms reaching up overhead, and then twist the opposite way. Come all the way back through center, arms reaching overhead. And then just take your palms into your heart center and let's just do a little bit of a stretch through the neck. So you're going to drop your right earlobe towards your right shoulder. And maybe you stay here, maybe you land your palm on the head and just use it as a little bit of like an anchor. And then bring the head all the way back through center. And then let's drop it the other way. So left shoulder drops. Or sorry, left earlobe drops towards the shoulder. Left palm is on the head. The trapezius muscles, it's one of the muscles where we carry a lot of our tension. So maybe you just let that release and take one more breath. And then we're going to come all the way up through center and then just drop your chin and take some little circles. Let's come all the way back through center. And then you're just going to come up onto the knees and we're going to sit the hips back and rest the hips onto the heels. So this is called a balasana or a child's pose. And I'm just going to plug in. I realize I haven't plugged in my microphone. This is just going to help the sound when I'm further away from you. Should be linked up now. Let me just see. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so child's pose, balasana. This is kind of like a rest pose in yoga. You're encouraged to come back to this pose at any time if you just want to take rest. And if this is not restful for you, I encourage you to find something else, like just seated or lying on your back. So let's inhale and come all the way up into a table, and then you're going to have palms underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and we're just going to move through what's called cat-cow flows. So on your inhale, you're going to lift your chin, tilting at the pelvis. And then on your exhale, you're going to curl the spine and tuck the chin. This is your cat. And let's keep going like this. On your inhale, you expand. And then on your exhale, you contract. And so cat-cow, I do this a lot in my yoga classes. It's like a warm-up for the spine, flexion and extension. Something interesting about this is my mom, who comes to my yoga, she told me her physiotherapist has highly recommended this as something that she does throughout the day when she's working at her desk, to just take little cat-cow breaks. So anyway, it's highly recommended by medical professionals for us during our isolation. sitting and stationary all day. Let's take one more. And then we're just gonna sit the hips back onto the heels, maybe tuck the toes. Kat has found another marker, but this time she has one with a lid on. That's great. Take your hands out in front of you, make fists, and you're gonna make circles with your fists. So we're warming up the wrists right now. One of the most common injuries I see in yoga is people dumping all of their weight onto their wrists. And so in a moment when we're gonna go into our first down dog, I want you to be super conscious of like spreading your palms and pressing through the fingers and pressing through the knuckles, okay? And so we'll do a little warm up with the wrists just now, maybe one more little circle. And then I want you to place your palms on the mat about shoulder width. Really press through the palms, and then tuck your toes and lift up and back to your first down dog. So in your downward facing dog, you want to spiral and almost curl the armpits towards each other, and this is going to like expand through your back and your shoulder blades. And then your vertebrae are stacking one on the next, and your hips are stretching up towards the sky. If this pose is like a lot for you as a beginner, you can get the same benefits by standing upright and putting your hands on like a table or chair, and then just sloping your back down, okay? So do what's accessible for you. Now in the down dog, let's just walk into the knees a little bit, bending through each. And then we're gonna come all the way back into a neutral and then just bend the knees and walk the feet up to meet the hands. Find yourself in a forward fold. Bend the knees a lot for this. Your legs don't need to be straight. Grip your palms to opposite elbows and then just release your head and try to let like the weight roll off your shoulders. And then release your palms. And we're gonna slowly roll all the way up to stand. Coming into a mountain pose or a Tadasana. Let me just fix my camera as my head is cut off. There we go. Okay, so take an inhale, sweep both palms up towards the sky. And then exhale into a fold, bend the knees. We're gonna take some half sun salutations here. So inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, circle your palms all the way up to stand. And then exhale your palms into heart center. Let's just take two more of these. Breath in. And then breath out. Breath in to half lift. Breath out to lower. And then breath in to come all the way up. And then breath out, hands at heart center. One more inhale. And then exhale. Inhale. And then exhale. And then as you inhale, sweep the palms all the way up again. And then connect the palms into heart center. So we're gonna take a modified easy sun salutation. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, palms release, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And then exhale to lower back down. Keep your right foot where it is. Step your left foot far back on the mat. Now you want your right knee to be stacking over top of right ankle. And then you're just gonna rock back and forth so you're gently getting into the hip crease. And then we're gonna land onto the left knee and we're coming up into a low lunge. So you're gonna take your palms up towards the sky. This is called an Anjaneyasana, and just hang out here for a couple of breaths. Now, if you have a sensitive kneecap, you can always put a cushion or a blanket underneath the knee. And let's stay here for 3 breaths. And take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, you're gonna fold forward Keep your left palm where it is and inhale your right palm up towards the sky. So a twisted low lunge. Exhale to lower back down. And then let's just do one more thing. We're gonna come into a little bit of a hamstring stretch. You're gonna lengthen through your leg and walk your palms back. Now, if your hamstrings are tight and it's especially hard to reach the ground, you can be up here with your hands steadied on a wall. If you do have a chair nearby, you can hold onto the chair. You don't need to be touching onto the mat. And then let's take one more breath. And then you're gonna come all the way forward. And then just step your right knee back to meet your left. And then we're gonna take a modified Vinyasa flow. So this is different than your table when you were up here. For this, you're in a low plank, so your palms are forward. And then you're gonna slowly lower, triceps drawing back. And then inhale, lift your body up. And then exhale to lower. And then just shift through either a table or straight up to your down dog. And we're gonna take a step with the left foot forward. If you can't get your foot between your hands, just use your hand to glide it forward. And then take some little rocks back and forth, hip creases open. And then land onto your right knee. And take a breath in, just hang out in your low lunge. We'll stay here for 3, for 2, and then for 1, inhale. And then exhale, take it forward. Now this time your right palm stays and your left palm lifts up towards the sky, finding this twist. And then let's take the left palm back down and walk your palms back, lengthening over the hamstring. I'm just gonna grab my phone so I know what time it is. If you haven't already silenced your phone, I would recommend that you just put it on airplane. One of my yoga teachers says that the sign of an advanced yoga practice, it's not being able to do fancy things with your body, it's being able to be off your phone for 60 minutes. Let's slowly walk your palms all the way back and then tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Step your right foot forward to meet your left, finding your forward fold. And let's just inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, come all the way up to stand. Circle your palms up. And then just take your palms into heart center. All right, so we're gonna move into some standing poses now. So I'm gonna introduce you first to some closed hip poses. You're gonna step your feet wide. Actually, these are open hip poses because your hips are open to the side. So step your feet wide, and you're gonna turn your right toes to the short edge of the mat, and then bend through your right knee. And this is your warrior 2 legs. So if you look down at your right heel, it's almost like intersecting with the left inner arch of your foot. It's all on one long line. And then the alignment you want is your right knee above your right ankle. So common misalignments I see in the studio, people's knees are like that, or people are like this. So you want to find like exactly, the middle. Like I say it a lot, but the Goldilocks position. And then what else do I see? When people reach their arms out, people have a tendency to reach forward like they're trying to grab something. So I want you to see if you can draw your spine back. And so you're making this one long line all the way up. It's like a stem holding onto a flower. Your spine is supporting this. Oh, the cat is about to jump on the computer. No. Oh my gosh, drives me crazy. Okay. Drives me crazy, but I love her. Take one inhale. You're gonna do what's called reversing your warrior. You're gonna take your right arm overhead, sweeping through the body. And then come all the way back to your warrior 2, and then lengthen through your right leg. Walk your left foot in a tiny bit to shorten your stance. And then we're gonna hinge our body forward, and then take your right arm alongside your right leg, and your left arm up towards the sky. So this is called Trikonasana, triangle pose. Your right hand can be somewhere on the leg, and I want you to feel a spreading through your collarbone. And if it works for you, gaze up towards the thumb. If it doesn't work for your neck, gaze down towards the mat. So take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then we're gonna bend through the right knee and then just come all the way up to stand. Turn your toes in, so all 10 toes are gonna face the sidewall. Keep your hands on your hips for an inhale. And then as you exhale, come forward. And then just grip your palms to opposite elbows and hang out in a bit of a wide-legged forward fold. Couple of deep inhales and exhales. And then we're gonna take these flows on the opposite side. So slowly roll all the way up to stand. And then turn your left toes towards the short edge of the mat, the other side, or you can hop around, whatever works to see the computer. Bend through the left knee, and then find yourself all the way back into your warrior two. So I teach a flowing style of yoga. It's called Vinyasa, and in Vinyasa, one posture flows into the next. They almost link together with the breath, almost like a dance. So this is a little introduction. I'm just stringing together 3 poses, right? So we did warrior 2, reverse triangle, and then we're taking the same on the opposite side. So we'll inhale, reverse. And then exhale, come all the way back to a warrior 2. And then lengthen through your left leg. You can shorten your stance a little bit. And then you're gonna hinge forward. And then take your left arm alongside your left leg. I apologize if you guys can hear that background noise. That is my cat. She has her moments, like some days she'll just sleep through the entire class. And then some days she'll just want to be the star of the show. Take one more breath in your triangle. I guess we all have days like that. And then slowly just come all the way back up. You're gonna take your hands on your hips and then just step your right foot all the way back to the front of the mat. And why don't we take a little bit of a half sun salutation. So breath in, arms reach up. Breath out, forward fold. Breath in, halfway lift. And then breath out, fold forward. And then breath in, come all the way back up to stand. And then breath out, hands at your heart center. So hands onto your hips. Now we're going to take the closed hip poses. So keep your right foot forward, step your left foot back on the mat. And for this pose, for the closed hip poses, your hips are squared off towards the front of your yoga mat. So they don't need to be exactly square, but that's just the general alignment, so you know. I've had teachers explain it almost like you imagine your hip bones are like headlights on a car and they're coming forward. So in order to find that alignment, your feet are going to be a lot wider than they were in the past series of poses. So if you look down at your mat, your right foot is on one side, your left foot's on one side. It's almost like there's 2 train tracks down your mat. And then press down through the right big toe and rest through the outer edge of the left foot. And then you can take your arms up overhead if you like. Something I remembered the other day about yoga when I was a beginner is having your arms up in the air for so long, it's not easy. So if it gets tiring at any point, please don't be afraid to put your hands back on your hips. I have done that before in many a yoga class. And let's take one more breath in this warrior 1, it's Virabhadrasana 1. And then either take your palms into your heart center or your hands on your hips. Start to shift weight forward as you bring your body into what's called a warrior 3. Now you can have your hands on a table, you can have your hands on the wall. There's nothing wrong with that if you're still building your balance and you need that stability. If you are feeling balanced, you can lift your palms, place them somewhere on the body. So in this pose, I want you to feel an extension from the crown of your head all the way through the heel of your foot. And your left hip is level with your right. So if you place your hand on your sacrum, you can just feel that leveling off. It's no big deal if your left hip is stacking on the right. It's just a different pose. It's called half moon. Okay, so in this pose, closed hips are level. Take one more breath. And then we're gonna come up to stand. We're gonna link one more balancing pose. I'm just turning so you can see me. You're going to lift your left foot up, land your left foot either on the ankle, on the shin, or maybe up on the thigh. Now, the one thing I want you to do is not place that foot on the inside of your knee, because your knee is not meant to go in that direction, right? It's meant to bend, but it's not meant to go to the side. Hands can be at heart center. They can be overhead. Just, yeah, find a variation that works for you. And again, you can be up against the wall. There are many different styles of yoga and many different styles of teachers. And I am kind of a trauma-informed based teacher. So my philosophy is very much do what feels good. There's no right or wrong. Listen to your own body. So I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Take one more breath. And then let's land the left foot. And then take a half sun salutation. So inhale. And then exhale, fold. Take an inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale to lower. And then inhale all the way up. And then exhale your palms into your heart center. So left foot stays forward, right foot steps all the way back, and find that alignment. We're coming into the warrior one. So hips are squared, left knee is stacking above left ankle. You're almost making like a right 90-degree angle, and you're pressing down through the outer edge of the right foot. And then you choose what to do with your arms. If the arms are extended, I want you to have an energy and intention through them, yet a softness through the shoulders, right? We don't need to hunch the shoulders up towards the earlobes. We do that enough throughout the day, throughout our lives. Maybe I should take the bell off that cat's collar. Maybe that would help. All right, take one more breath. And then you're gonna find your way into a warrior three. So again, hands can be supporting you. Hands can be at heart center. That's my preference, because I find that by placing my hands at heart center, it helps me energetically connect to the center of the body. But everyone is different. Some people prefer their arms open and they're like an airplane flying through the sky. Again, try to keep right hip level with the left, and if you want to explore that with your hand on your sacrum, go ahead. And know that it's okay to fall. Still a good person. Take one more breath. And then come all the way up. Last pose on this side, so your right foot lands on the inside of the left leg, either on the shin or the ankle, or maybe on the thigh. And then decide what you're doing with your palms, finding your tree. When I teach kids yoga, a lot of them like to pretend at this part that they're like trees blowing in the wind. Feel free, or if your balance is not up to it, don't bother. And then give yourself one more round of breath. And then take your right foot back down. We'll come back to stand at the front of the mat. We're going to take a full vinyasa. So inhale your palms up. Exhale back down. Inhale to halfway lift. And then exhale to lower. Plant the palms. Step your feet back. Find your plank. And now you can do this with your knees lowered, or if you want it up an extra level, tuck the toes, lift the knees, push the ground away, navel draws in. Let's hold our strong plank. So you can also be here for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2. And then on 1, we're gonna lower all the way down. And then we're gonna take a gentle back bend. So this is called Sphinx. And you're going to land your elbows onto the mat, and then your heart is going to lift up. So elbows are underneath the shoulders. And I wanna show you, there's 2 ways you can do this pose, right? You can be super lazy about it, or you can be a bit more active, pressing through the elbows and lifting your heart. Again, find the middle between these 2 polarities, right? So you don't have to be the most strong, but you also don't have to be the most easy. You can find the middle between strength and simplicity. And then just take one more inhale in your heart opener, one more exhale. And then we're gonna slowly lower down, and then just take a breath, let your spine realign. And we're gonna roll over onto the back, okay? So we just did 1 back bend, which was on your belly, your Sphinx. And now we're gonna do a secondary back bend on your back, and it's another beginner one. So alignment for this, you want your feet underneath the knees. You want your hands alongside your hips. And then you're gonna press through your feet and press through your palms and lift your hips up. And then maybe roll the shoulder blades under, interlacing the palms. So alignment for this, it's like kind of like a hip thrust if you've done it in other fitness classes. You want to imagine that you're like holding a yoga block between the legs. So you're not squeezing that block to death, but you're also not dropping it. And that's gonna find your alignment of like knees parallel. Let's hold on here for 3, for 2, and then for 1, release your palms, and then slowly lower each and every vertebrae one at a time onto the mat. Hips land last, and then take a breath in, and then a breath out. Take your knees together. Open your arms into cactus arms on the mat, and you're gonna drop your knees over to the right, and then take your gaze over to the left. So this is a spinal twist. And my favorite way to describe a spinal twist, it's like almost a dishcloth, and it's wet and it's picked up residue and it has all this stuff. And then as you drop into your spinal twist, you're like wringing out that wet washcloth and getting rid of any of the stuff that is just stuck in between the vertebrae in your spine. I forgot to say, if this feels super deep, if your shoulder is lifting, you can always prop your knees with a cushion or even place a cushion between your knees. And then let's come all the way back through center. And then drop your knees to the opposite side, and then gaze the opposite way. And take one more inhale, one more exhale. And then come all the way back up through center. And then just wrap the arms around the knees, the shins. Give yourself a little bit of a hug. We're gonna take one last pose before we come into a meditation. Do we have time for more? Let's do 2 more and then meditation. Okay, so first one is gonna be a hip opener. You're gonna land your left foot on the mat, cross your right ankle on top of the left thigh, flex the right toes, push the right palm into the right thigh. And then you can stay here, or you might lift and interlace the palms on the left thigh or the left shin. And this should be a deep stretch for your right hip crease. And take one more inhale, one more exhale. And then release the foot. And then take it the opposite way. And then let's release the foot, and we're going to take a gentle inversion before our Shavasana, our meditation. So you can either take waterfall, which is your legs just lifting up and your arms lifting up. This is one option. And if you do have a wall or a piece of furniture nearby, you can also take it with the furniture and it can just be super supportive. So if you have a couch like me, I'm just going to put my feet up like this. And if you have a wall, you can snuggle your hips towards the wall and then lift your legs and just place your palms on your navel. So this pose, it can be super restorative. Brings the blood flow back from the legs and the feet towards the head and the heart, which I find can be very soothing, very comforting. And now you choose, if you're comfortable here, feel free to stay here. And if you want to come into a seated meditation or lying flat on your back, which is your Shavasana, feel free. And we're just going to be here for maybe about 5 minutes. When you find yourself in your still shape, I'm going to invite you again to concentrate on the breath. Trying to fill all of these nooks and crannies in the torso with air. And maybe you start to feel each inhale and each exhale almost like an ocean wave. It's like the tide returning to the shore over and over again. So in our normal wakefulness, our thoughts are zipping through the mind and the breath is irregular and staccato. So it's almost like the thoughts are at the forefront of the mind and your breath is almost like the radio playing in the background. And what we're trying to do here is reverse that. So have your breath be at the front of your mind and your thoughts in the background. And as you connect to the breath, it's almost like the difference between driving in the city and driving in the country. Right? So in city driving, there's so much stopping and starting and a lot of feelings come up. Irritation, impatience, That's our natural state of the mind. And when you settle into your long distance driving or your state of meditation, everything calms down and the breath rhythm changes. So for the last few minutes of this meditation, maybe picturing you're on that long distance drive. You're out of the city. Whenever I get to this point, I remember this weekend last year in Ramadan where I drove to see a friend in Fujairah, and I drove through the desert dunes into the sunset. It was one of the most beautiful drives of my life. So maybe you have something like that you can connect to, or maybe it's driving in your home country, passing the rivers and the mountains and snowbanks, whatever feels like home. And then just take one more round of breath. And you can just release that meditation and come back into your body in the present moment. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly.
Honey.
All your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly. Blackbird fly. Into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Just give yourself a little wake up wiggle. Run a nice long stretch through the body, fingers all the way through your toes. If you're in seated meditation, feel free to stay there. If you're in any other position, you can just come to meet us up and seated. And you can have your palms on your lap, or they can be in your heart center. And we're just gonna finish our practice with a shared breath together. So taking an inhale and then an exhale. Thank you guys so much for joining and sharing this practice today. We close with the intention that this yoga practice serves and benefits not only us, but the people around us and the people around them. And may all beings be happy and healthy and free. And may the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute towards this. So, Om Shanti, 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 peace. Namaste. Thanks, guys.
The Mindful Life Practice.